Hi, everybody. We're going to get started. Welcome, welcome, welcome. I know how much you guys value time if you volunteered to serve on a committee that does nothing but discuss it. Before we start, I just want to make sure you guys understand this is the 2023-2024 calendar discussion. I want to make that clear because I know there's been some confusion. It's been an interesting day, September 8th. I'm sure the calendar will forever note that today the monarch in Great Britain, Queen Elizabeth II, passed away. I think it's appropriate before we start to just think about a life of service, because that is what every single person here has entered into. I think that's why we all get so frustrated from time to time, because service is not and can never be about what we want. It's about what they need, not what they want, but what they need. And I just really appreciate us keeping that sentiment and that thought front of mind, especially in such a difficult and such a trying environment. You know, coming out of the pandemic, there's nothing more important than time. All the time our students lost. So it might seem like a small thing, one day here, another day there, an hour cut, an hour gained. In 2022, if you sit on a board of education or work in education or have kids in school, I think we all agree there is nothing more important than what we are about to do, than finding out when kids are going to be in our classrooms. So I thank you guys for your commitment. I thank you for your service. And I will turn it over to our chair, Dr. Patrice Faison. Dr. Faison.
Hard act to follow there. I need to figure out how to turn this on. But as I do that, can you hear me? Okay. So I want to just first let you know who is in the room. We're going to ask that we make sure these groups over here that we don't have more than one of each person at a table. So if you need to adjust, please do so. I am Patrice Faison. I am the Chief Academic Officer. So I had the privilege, I'm going to say privilege, to work with you on the calendar for the 23-24 school year. I do want you to know this is our first of many meetings. We will be having at least 2 more meetings, I'm pretty sure. We will not be talking about specialty calendars for this meeting. We need to get our traditional calendar, and then we can base that calendar, our WEX, our year-round, those calendars. It makes it easier for them to do that. Is everybody okay with that? Make sense? Okay. All right. So what I ask of you now is, and I have a timer, but if I click my timer, it'll take my presentation away. So you have 3 minutes. I want you to go find someone not at your table, introduce yourself, and tell them what is the top priority you have for the 23-24 calendar. You have 3 minutes. When I say 30 minutes, 30 seconds, start making your way, closing that conversation up and making your way back. So find someone in the room you do not know, introduce yourself, and tell them what is your top priority. Let's go. 30 seconds. 30 seconds. Fifteen seconds. 15. We don't have a clicker. Do we have a clicker? No. Okay. So I hope you met someone you did not know. How many people met someone they didn't know? Great, great. So we're going to dive right into this because we've got a lot of work to do. And the first thing we need to know is the law, okay? Because we all look good in orange, but not in orange jumpsuits, right? All right, so we have to know what the law says. And the law says that we have to go to school for 1,025 hours or 185 days. I can tell you that most districts are now going by hours. It's really hard to get 185 days. Okay? You see here the criteria. I'm not going to read it to you, but there's some things I want to point out. First, I want to make you aware, just like every other district that I've done and checked on some research, we never go with a minimum. There's two reasons. And this is what I'm saying, what we previously done. This is a committee, okay? We don't go with the minimum because we're about student instruction, and we don't do the minimum at anything, not when we're talking about our students. Two, if we go with a minimum, if a pipe bursts at Bradley Creek or at Hoggard, they've got to make that time up because they have no bank time, no extra. Okay? So this is why you're going to see most districts, I don't know of any, that go with a minimum. Okay? There are some districts, if you were to look at their days and multiply their days by our hours of instruction, you would think they go by the minimum. But what they do is they've extended their day, or they're using recess to be like we call a structured recess, where the teachers have to write lesson plans, teach PE goals. I mean, it's a little intense, right? So keep that in mind. I also want to highlight, no matter what we do for students, how long do our teachers have to work? 215 days. We can't change that. When is the earliest our school year can start?
August 28th.
Okay? So, you see, we've got to hover around what? That closest Monday to the 26th. And Ms. Aboria gave you the date. And you see when we can close. We have to close. Okay? So, there is nothing we can do to change these rules. Okay? There's just not. Now, COVID changed those rules, and that's why we have the questions we have now. I'm going to be honest with you. COVID changed the rules. We didn't have to start when we did. We started earlier, but nobody in here wants to go back to that time. So I want you to make that clear, because people ask that question. Well, we did this. We did because we had COVID. There are a few choices that we have. Well, let me back up. Does there anybody have any questions about any of the calendar law? Because it's very important that we understand that. Any questions? Yes, ma'am. Hold on one second.
I was just curious if the work days are mandated to be designated or undesignated, or if it's just, I don't know, which one?
2 work days have to be undesignated. Am I correct? I had it in front of me. Yeah, 2 work days have to be undesignated. Of course, we undesignate more than 2 because we want our teachers to have that flexibility. Mm-hmm.
Is that a county rule or a state rule?
State rule. This is your legislators have made this rule. And if it has been in effect 2012, yeah, go and check it. I think it's 2012. Sorry.
Just a point of clarification, we say because of COVID, that's because, correct me if I'm wrong, the state offered waivers statewide. It's not because we as a county took a unilateral effort. Because things got tough, there were waivers offered the last 2 years. Right, okay.
Thank you. Thank you, because we can't do anything without a state waiver. Thank you so much, Mr. Smith. Okay? So the waiver is gone. It's gone. Any more questions or points? And I know, and I apologize first, if you feel like we don't get as much done as you want in this first meeting, but I think it's important everybody's voices are heard and we understand, because we really don't have a lot of choices. Okay? I'm sorry.
Are there any laws or requirements as far as instructional hours for semester classes?
The instructional hour is for the school year.
That's not for semester.
It's for the school year. Yes, ma'am. Am I correct with that, Miss? Yeah, okay.
No, I was pointing.
Okay, all right. So there's a few choices we have. There are not many. We can decide when spring break is there, how many work days our teachers have at the beginning of the year, the end of the year, the grading period, when that ends, spring break dates. Do we work on election day? But I can tell you that in our county, it's tradition, we don't. I mean, you have people come into the buildings and kids are voting. So traditionally across our state, we don't work on election days.
Just a quick point of clarification for this election day. It's a citywide election, so we usually work on that day for the citywide. So this calendar will probably see. I mean, that's an option you can.
Didn't we do the March? We checked with the election officer. So yeah. So this calendar might be a little different. The major election, because there are different days that the election officer tells us that, hey, this is going to be major. So thank you for pointing that out. Now, this in red, this is not mandated. But I don't want to be the person to tell a teacher they don't have that. That allows a teacher to take the grades, look at those assignments, and put the report cards in to get to that parent on time. So normally across our state, and definitely in our district, for years we have done a workday after the grading period has ended. That is a major deal for teachers. Am I right, teachers? Okay, I don't want to speak for you because we have some in the room. All right. Questions, comments about this? So let's look at who we are and where we've come from. How many of you knew that we were the 17th district out of 115 the last time we had data before COVID? How many people knew that? That's huge. Number 17. Take a guess how many students off we were if we had just done. We were so close. We were like 1,500 students from being the #1 district in our state. Can you imagine the tourism we would get and the economic boom? Can you imagine that? So the last time before COVID and we had data, we were number 17 in the state. Everybody with me on that? That is a year where we did 1,086 hours. The next year, we dropped it down a little bit. Even though COVID happened, the calendar was already here. So we went by the calendar. We dropped it down to 1080. The state didn't really, we had COVID, so it was different. Because you remember COVID came in March of 2020? And then we really had our impacted years. The years that the state allowed us to start school earlier. We dropped it to 1038 to 1032. We actually could start school earlier, so we got out earlier. Can we do that this year? No. Okay? So, I want you to think about the hours that you see. I want you to think about what I've just shared with you. How many hours does your table think we need to continue to not only be 17, but take over number one and make sure our students, because you have to hear what you're doing when you're doing that. It's not about a district being number one. That means your students are growing at levels that are almost unheard of. Our students can go any and everywhere when we get into that. Think about what it does for our economy. Okay? So I want you to think about, at your table, you have a sticky. You're going to write one amount of hours. How many hours do we need in New Hanover County to make sure our students, because it's about our students, I know what everybody wants, right? When I say that, everybody wants something different. So I want you to bring it back. It's about our students. How many hours do we need to make sure our students are successful? You have a history here. We've gone as high as 1086 when we were 17. This year's calendar has 1050. When we were in COVID, we went 1032. So before you put your number down, what are some things that you want people to remember before they put their number down? Anybody? Anybody?
The length of the instructional day is 6 hours.
As a teacher, quality over quantity. I'm not sure that necessarily the amount of hours matter as much as what you do inside the hours.
I want to add to that. How many hours did the top performing district have in session? Do we know?
We are mirroring the top. Our calendars mirror, and I'm not calling their name. The calendar we have this year, the calendars we had before, mirror number 1 and 2 very closely. This year and before COVID. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I would say to you, data speaks. That's all I'm going to say. So, all right. Any more comments? You're coming with one number at your table. You've got 5 minutes. What is the number you're going to turn in? How many hours? And someone asked, and I'm going to say, I will let you know the top district in our county is Union, if you want to look at their calendar. Union. How many tables are ready with their number? How many tables are ready? One sticky, one sticky. How much time do you need? 3 more minutes? One sticky. One sticky. I've got 2. You need it. All right, you got about 2 minutes. I need your sticky. I need your sticky. You got about 2 minutes. You got about 2 minutes. I need your sticky. Okay, I need your sticky. I don't have stickies for most of my tables. I just have 3, so it's about 4 missing. 4 missing. You're pretty aligned. One is a little different than the others, but right now we're pretty aligned. One note. Are we missing anyone? Are we missing anyone? Now, this is a committee. So I'm going to ask you, do we add them all up and say that's our time and divide? Is that what we do? Throw out the low and throw out the high? No, because no. Because then you want to see how many people are closest to mine. No. So, what do we want to do? Okay, mathematician up here. Okay, so come up here and tell us what we get. They're right here. Give them to. Well, their voices are not going to be heard. I think you're. Dr. Murray, well, I forgot she was in the room. Dr. Murray and Mrs. Red will start working on what we came up with. While they're working on that, now, at your table, with the student lens being first, because that's why you're on this calendar committee, you're thinking about students. What are the top 3 things? And if you put something, please be prepared to share why you put that. Let me give you some examples. Is one of the top things that teachers have a certain amount of work days at the beginning, that they have a work day each month? Is it that we get 2 weeks for winter break? Okay? Is it that our semesters are even for our first semester student and our second semester student for AP? Or biology? What are anybody else got any ideas of some things that they think are important? Okay, so since that's been a hot topic, tell me why you say that. What is your logic behind that?
So I'm an elementary teacher, and when I heard about this, I reached out to kind of high school friends across the state and within the district. And as an elementary teacher, I couldn't imagine if you're like, hey, you've just finished up everything, now you got to wait 12 days before your kids test. I think it's an equity issue as well. When I think about the situations my students come from, I couldn't imagine getting them to a place where they feel confident, ready to show what they've learned, and then them taking a 12-day break where there's no semblance of, there might not be a semblance of me being able to be in control of their atmosphere at home, and then coming back like, okay, now it's time to test. So I speak as someone that's not a high school educator.
So I have a couple questions because this has come up. So the question that I have for you is, you said equity, it threw me off. So what kids do you decide get 70 days, or what kids get 96 days of instruction? No, I'm saying, but the principal will have to decide that. How do they decide what kids get the most instruction? No, but okay, so if my son, I'm going to use my son because he was an AP student. So if he takes AP US in the fall, he gets 70 days. If he takes AP, or 73 it would be, I think. But if he takes it in the spring, he gets 90 something. Yes, it is. I've counted. It's how many?
81 days in the fall before exams start. 60 days in the spring before AP exams.
Okay, well, AP was probably not a good example then. Okay, so biology. What about biology? Yeah, and that's what we've always done, and what most of our, because they do the practices. Let me take AP out of it, and because I think this is a good discussion, because one of the things that we're doing, and the principals might not know yet, but we're talking about how do we review for kids who take AP in the fall, because that is what people are doing across the state. We need to make sure we're doing a solid. But let's take just every kid that we have has to take English 10. Every kid has to take English 10 and biology. How do we decide what kids get? 60, or the numbers I have, and you can go back and check them, are 15 less days of instruction. How do we decide on that? How do you do that? So okay, so let me hold on. So we're gonna pre-assess the students before we schedule them. Is that I'm asking because? So is that what we're saying? High school principals, hold on. High school principals, we're gonna pre-assess them before we schedule them. I want to hear from my high school principals because that's. You could. Okay, you could. So, go ahead.
I hate to front load the question, but as much difficulty as we have fitting everybody into the master schedule, is that doable? What you're saying?
So I'm going to jump to this because I knew this was coming up. So I'm going to jump to this and ask some other questions because before we jump here. And are we saying that because with 73 days, basically, we're taking away, or somebody can count behind me on the old calendar or this year's calendar. But are we saying we're going to take away the teachers' work days to give students more instructional days so there'll be balance? Or are we just okay with students having 15 to 16 less days? Are the teachers going to keep their work days? What are we saying? That's the question. Okay. Okay. So you and I need to talk because I've been looking at this calendar for a long time. Okay. So, all right. So, what I want you guys to do, and I'm going to come over there and I'm going to bring my calendar out. You show me. How do principals decide who gets? I want you to talk about these questions because since we've gotten here. How do principals decide who gets 15 days less of instruction, 98 hours? Who gets that? I want you to talk about that, okay? I want you to talk about, does this impact scholarship opportunities? Post-secondary. And then I want you to answer the question, because we need to answer this. This is the elephant in the room. We need to answer this. If a student is not successful on their EOC, how do we explain to our parent that we looked at past data, so 15 less days should have been fine? If you'll talk about that now at your tables. Okay, now, all right, so what you're going to do now is, that was good discussion, okay? That was good discussion, okay? I think you find it as challenging as everyone who has to do a calendar does. So now we're going to jump back, because we're going to jump back to our question. But since that came up, I wanted us to make sure we talked about it, and if we need to, we'll talk about it again. At your table, I want you to identify the top 3 to 5 things of importance when doing a calendar. And I want you to think about students and all students. That is why you're here, to represent the stakeholder group you have when you're thinking about students. Okay? I want you to also think about, and I know what we're saying, but I want you to think about the data that we have. For years and years, we have done 18-19. Done the calendar the way it has been done. The last true data point we have is using that data. We can say what we think, but we know what we have. You're the committee. I want you to think about true data, not what people are saying, not what you heard your friends say. I want you to think about the data that we had, the calendar that we had. Actually, let's show them the 17-18 calendar and show them what it looked like. That's the last year that we were number 17. 18-19. I want you to see that. Because I know we've talked about what we think. Okay? That was a long time ago. All right. So I'm going to ask you.
So this is the first time I've seen this, and you said, well, that's because you're not on the committee. But what is so how are other teachers, parents?
All right. Now, what you are getting is the last calendar we had with true data before COVID. Okay? When we were number 17, when your kid said, I graduated from New Hanover County Schools, and they were number 17 in the state, it means something. Okay? You're the committee, but I want you to use facts and data to make the top 3 to 5 decisions about calendar importance. You have, from your table, you're going to write the top 3 to 5 things in order of importance at your table. You have 10 minutes. 15 minutes. Let me just get everybody's attention. I need to make it a point as you're making your list. We had a parent ask, and that's when a lot of it's been is the dual enrollment. Is Julie still here? Okay. All right. So when we schedule our Cape Fear kids, they are scheduled, and I'm talking about somebody else's lane, so I'm going to do what I have been told and read. When we schedule them for 2 blocks when they take 1 class. Is that right, Mom, Dad, moms? Okay. So if they take 1 class at Cape Fear, first and second block is scheduled at Cape Fear for travel. What we have done to make sure the kids do not miss a beat at Cape Fear, and we have this in writing, the counselors are doing this, if not, we need to know, they will take first and second semester on the fall at Cape Fear, and third and the second semester in the spring, they take the same courses first and second. Okay. So, as I was saying, so then your child can start August 16th with Cape Fear, and they finish when they finish for first and second block. Second, in the fall, they start when they start. So your child does not miss anything. Questions? Oh, I don't. Right. I can get those numbers. I'm sure Don, Miss Brinson can get those numbers. I don't know if we get them right now.
On the college side, and they want, if a student says that they don't want to take English 3 on the high school side, and they're going to take English 111 first semester, then they could take English 112 second semester, and then they would take the American Lit and then the British Lit. That would have to be conversations with the college in order for that to be done.
And they're not gonna schedule, college is not gonna change their schedule for us.
Yes, they will. I'm the principal of Wilmington Early College. There are.
Okay.
Well, and yes, we are. But if they know ahead of time, you don't think so?
Well, that's her opinion. Okay, now go ahead. And I'm not saying that we have not missed something, but I'm telling you, this is in writing, and parents, we're asking. You can check this. This should be happening. Oh, sorry. Okay. So I just wanted you guys to know that. I wanted you guys to know that before we moved on with your top 3. Okay? I can tell you, what I want you to know is, I want you to go by facts and not everything you hear. Okay? I can show you what that is what's supposed to be done. If your child is not receiving that, if you're listening out, that is what's supposed to be done. Can I say that we have missed it somewhere, not missed it somewhere? No, I cannot. But I can tell you what our policy is.
Can you show me what our policy is?
I'll have Mrs. Barham show it to you. Okay. Yeah. No, oh, okay, but yeah, the last year.
It was 15 days short.
But that's the whole year ago.
Yeah, but we just realized that we had done
yeah.
and the kids did okay.
Yeah, but that's my biggest thing is not. My biggest thing is the imbalance. I just don't know how you would decide who gets the best instruction. I think that's the question. 3 to 5, guys. 3 to 5. 3 to 5. Make sure you write on the chart paper your top 3. You have 5 minutes. All right. So what we're going to do now is we need someone who's a recorder. Who wants to be a recorder? Boer? Okay. You can give them that 2 pieces of paper, that 2 dots there. Okay. All right. Let me ask you this. Before we share this, before we start calling this out, do we have any more questions? All right. Okay. Now, we are going, this is a 2-step process. Stay with me. Julian is explaining something. She had a question about the scheduling. Okay. So, we are going to list what we, the committee, say are our top priorities in doing a calendar. You are now getting 2 dots. You're going to come up and place your dots table by table. Okay? So it's a 2-step process. First, we are going to list what is important. Okay? All right. So, first table, what do you have? Hold on. Yes, you're writing this down. You're writing everybody, but you're going to start getting repetition.
Okay, so balancing semesters, providing enough work days to support PD, and then exams before winter break. Exams before winter break. Work days for PD? Yeah. Providing enough work days to support PD.
Okay.
And what was the third? No?
All right. So, this table right here, did they have anything that you did not? Do you have anything they did not have? And who's your reporter?
We had aligning the spring breaks,
Can everybody hear him?
aligning the spring breaks
Spring breaks. When you say aligning with who?
district-wide.
District-wide with all the specialty counters, okay? Restart, year-round, okay?
And then we had protecting from burnout, student and teacher burnout.
So, protecting teacher and student burnout, I would say work days for teachers in parentheses, is that what we're saying?
Yes.
On a different note from them, and I know they're speaking, or not whoever, but someone's speaking from a different lens, but as a teacher, work days where we don't have a required PD, where we actually get to do work in our classrooms.
From a teacher, yes.
All right. You guys ready? You ready?
We discussed increasing the instructional day by, what do we say?
We said about 10 minutes. If you figure in 10 minutes into an instructional day, it equals up to an extra 30 hours in
So
instruction.
let me back up and say, let's say with locus of control right now, that would be a two-step process. So that's not what this committee has been charged with. I know what you're going, and we might can do that. I just don't know I hate for you to put something and everybody votes on it and we have no power. But you can say it, but I just want you to understand that. That would be something that we would have to take to the board additionally with the calendar. And then we would have to get feedback from everybody, because that's what you guys are saying. But does every teacher want to increase their day? You're sick,
Right.
but you can say that. Go ahead.
We got 2 teachers here that said
I think everything else was the same.
Increasing day by how many minutes?
We said increase it by 10 minutes.
10 minutes. I just
Which
want
is
everybody to know
30.8
that would be, that's
30.
not something this committee could bring just and do. I just want everybody to know that. We're gonna put it up here, but we just can't say we're gonna do that. Because I can tell you, one of the reasons why I'm saying that is because we've heard a lot of teachers say the day is already long. So we would have to do some focus groups.
Right,
do some
but
different stuff.
one thing we said over here, as a teacher, I feel like one of the biggest things our district struggles with is we don't communicate the why to your staff members. So we struggle with that. If you communicate the why, so you're going to increase 30 instruction hours, but we're also going to be able to preserve work days. We're going to be able. You've got to communicate that.
The why behind it.
That's
Okay,
an issue,
okay.
I think.
All right, what else do you have, Mr. Valance?
And we agree with that group, even the semesters out.
I'm sorry?
Even the semesters out. Even the semesters.
Even in the semesters out, you have that balance in semesters. Okay, what else you got? That's it?
Where was the chocolate?
All right. Okay, this group right here. We've already heard everything. You've heard yours? Have you guys heard anything different? Okay.
No, ours have been mentioned, but our number one was the maximize instructional hours, and that's really coming up with what that number is, that first task that we had today. So, yes.
All right, hold on, let me get my, okay. Right here, have we heard you? Oh, sorry. Do you have your own? Did she have it?
Yeah, the equity of instructional hours across semesters,
Okay.
and then the teacher work days throughout the calendar.
Teacher work days throughout the calendar. Do we have that clear? Who have we not heard from before I go back to this table? Seems like we're missing a table. Right here, sorry.
We added petitioning the legislature to change the law for start and end dates. That was our number one.
I agree with that.
And
Did you
then
hear that? Say it again.
petitioning the legislature to change the law for start and end dates. Yep. And the only other one we had that I don't think we heard was consideration of AP and dual enrollment.
Okay. So, I'm sorry. I keep thinking, I guess I'm just hitting it to make it stop. Okay. All right. And it's the telemarketer. First time was my husband. He didn't want anything either, but it was a telemarketer second time. Okay. So have we heard everybody? Okay. Now, we are going to put this up. And you're going to put your 2 dots. You have 2. You know, I was thinking, they should get 1. Then I was like, you know what? This group needs 2 dots. So you're going to go up and put your dots. We're going to start by the group. Does everybody have dots? We're going to start by the group with the most dots. You can only put your dot in one place. You can't put 2 dots by 1. Oh, okay, I saw somebody doing that. I was like, You saw me calling you out like that? Yeah, but you can't put in the same place. Here, will you stand by and make sure everybody understands? Thank you. All right. You guys, come on up. All right, guys, it's just take you. Come on. You got another table coming up. All right, come on. This table right here. Watch Mr. McManus with his dots. There's certain people you have to watch with dots.
Listen, I've already put him in his place. I'm taking care of business.
Stop looking what everybody has to do what you're doing. I'm going back. Put your dot, girl.
I like that blue pen. I might steal it. Oh, no, I don't know whose it is.
Oh, it's not mine. All right, we have this table right here. Go put your 2 dots where you want them. Make sure people not double dotting up. Double dotting. No double dotting. No double dotting. Yeah, like double dipping. You remember Seinfeld? No double dipping. You guys remember that? I guess I'm dating myself. I'm dating myself. Okay, sorry. I just love it. Oh my! I used to be that, and you know it's the show that Choo Choo Young. There's a show, New Heart. And he's gonna walk in and say, I'm Daryl, this is my brother Daryl. I'm Larry, this is my brother Daryl. This is my brother Daryl. So crazy. Different type of humor, like Seinfeld, but earlier. All right. Can we get this table up here? This table up here. Table up here. All right. So I am in just a minute, and it got louder. Yeah, it was really low at one time. So can I just get everybody? I know it's a long day, trust me. Can I get everybody with me? All right. So we have to calculate our numbers. Okay? Let me tell you while Mrs. Hill is calculating the numbers. Let me tell you how many hours was our calculation. We came up with 1055. Okay? Can everybody in the calendar committee live with that? Because this is what we came up with. Okay. All right. Our current calendar is where our current calendar is less than our previous calendars, but we still have some time to do those quality instruction. And if kids miss a day, they don't have to go to school on Saturday. So I think that's what you're thinking about. And I think those of you, because I saw some people who wanted more time, that's the lovely part about being on the committee. And, you know, I can want all the things that I want, but this is a committee, so whatever you guys say is what we come up with. All right, 1055. 1055 is what we have come up with. So I have... It probably would end up being 1056. Yeah, we won't say get out an hour early on that day. Yeah, that's how her mind works. That's why I hired her. She's so opposite than me. Okay, so now the next thing that you have in front of you is you have two calendars. These are drafts. These are calendars based on the questions that I asked you. You didn't even have the question about ending the semester, but you have it here. You didn't have that because that's not what we normally do in our state, and it's not what we normally do in our district. Okay, so you had a way to address it though here. Everybody understands that? That's my timer. Hold on one second, ma'am. Okay, so these are drafts. Does everybody have an A or a B draft? Raise your hand if you didn't print your calendar out. We'll get you. Hold on. Raise your hand. Sorry. Sorry about that. Ms. Hill, where we at? Top. Okay, what's the top one and then top two? And that's what I needed. Order their star. Oh, okay. Yes, okay. All right, so raise your hand again if you need a calendar. We all know we said 10:55. Ms. Hill is getting ready to reveal the results. She's getting ready to be Vanna. These results will dictate how we adjust these drafts. These are drafts. If I just brought you a blank calendar here and asked, oh, when do you think a workday should be? Oh, when do you? I mean, we would be here all day. So what we did was we looked at state guidelines, previous calendars, your survey results. You do have to determine where we put half days. You do have to determine where we put half days, because you remember from your survey results, you wanted some half days, and with 10:55, you can do some half days. You couldn't do that if you didn't have over, but you can, okay? So, are you ready to see what our top choice was? All right, Ms. Hill.
Yeah, so number 1 was balancing semesters with 18 votes. Number 2 is exams before winter break, which was 15. And then max instructional hours was 12. But really, like 2 and 5 are kind of the same, and that's 14 about work days and PD. So that's like a tie for 3, I think.
So everyone in this room knows we can't do 1 and 3. There's no way we can do 1 and 3. They don't, you can't. You can't balance semesters and then get out before winter break. So we have to go with number 1. We put you on this committee because we knew you could work and play in the sandbox. You might not have your own way, but everybody can't get their way when you're in the committee. Does everybody understand that part? Okay. All right. So now what we have to do is you have to look at the drafts you have, talk about them, and tell us what changes or feedback we should do before our next meeting. But they had 2 dots, so you could use one for here or there. Okay, so they want to do a hand vote. Let me ask first, do we want to do that? Okay? You want to do that? Okay. Does it help? I don't know. Okay. Yeah, exactly. But when people vote, sometimes they don't like to. Okay, do we want to do that? Do you want to do a hand vote or not? Do you guys? They don't want. Okay, so let's keep going as we're comfortable with that. That's why we did the dots. We can look at a different way, but I didn't want to put people on the spot, and that's why we did the dots. The top 2. Okay, so let's do this. You have three things, right? So all 3 of them are in conflict, okay? So I want to make sure all 3 of them in conflict. Balancing the semesters, exam before winter break, and protecting teacher time. Which one is it? Protecting teachers or? It's like a balance of work days Okay, balance of work days. There's no way you could do all three of those. So what we're asking is to put those three up there, okay? And then we see. I can do that, all right? All right, so we'll give you addition dots. We need to write those up there. Can you write those up there? Balancing semester, exam before winter break, and providing teachers with work days for not burnout. You get 1 dot. 1 dot.
I feel like my mouth is big enough. When we're talking about number 1, balancing semesters, we're mainly talking about high school courses because and only semester courses. We're not talking about year-long courses. We're not talking about elementary. We're not talking about middle school. Right. I just want to clarify.
Does everybody understand that? Number 1 is only high school courses. Has nothing to do with elementary and middle. Nothing to do with those. But you have to understand you can't in the semester before, you can't do 70 some days and 74 and 93. You can't do that and balance the semester. So you can't do that. And you can't give teacher work days like they have in the calendar that we have, work days throughout, and get out before the exam. You just cannot do that. So everybody understands that. As long as you understand you cannot do 1 and 2, you can't do both of these, and you can't do both of these. The work days. There's no way you can give teacher work days on first semester. I'm not saying you don't give them any, but there's no way you're going to be able to give them quality work days without burnout on first semester when you're trying to get out early. Does everybody get that? So teachers, don't, because I know how you are. I want everybody to understand. Okay. All right. So you have 1 dot. We're going to start with this table. You have 1 dot. Put your dot up. Come on. Walk off. You know where you want your dot to go. Put your dot where you want your dot to go. Put your dot where you want your dot to go. What the students need. Because that's not what my parents' stakeholders just want to be. But we said we got to do. That's why we put people up here. All right, come on, guys, put your dot. You know where your dot is.
I moved it back. I don't want that.
Do not touch microphone because I'm that kid.
All right, come on. You know what when you went up there, you knew where your dot should go. Come on. We got to move. Come on. All right. Oh my God. All right. And I will tell you, whoa. So wait, we're not. We got to go. We've got to go with these dots and move on. Oh, okay. No, elementary's going the whole year. That's what we were saying earlier. Elementary, it does. Yeah, but everybody's voice counts. Yeah. Everybody's voice counts, because we could just say, high school principals, what do you want? But everybody's voice counts, right? All right. So now, what we have to do, right? And we're not going to play this game, let's keep voting until I get what I want. We just can't do that. We can't keep doing that. Now what we have to do is look at these drafts at your table and see how they need to change. You have draft A, draft B. They can change. These are just, you need to, hold on, let me say one more thing. Sorry. These drafts came from your survey feedback. They came from your survey feedback. Okay? And you need to add half days. So I want you guys to think about the month you want half days. We said 2. Everybody with me? Hold on. I know it's long. I know it's late. I want you to think about the month we have half days, not the day. Okay? So you need to decide, what month do we need half days? Is there a work day we need to move around? What do we need to do? Okay? All right, you got, what time is it? Okay. So, one more thing, guys. One more thing. Okay, they made a good point. One more thing. The first thing you need to decide is, do you want A or B? I can tell you that both of these calendars can align with year-round, because we've been working with those principals. Am I correct on that? So both of these calendars will align with year-round regardless of which one you choose. Okay? So What month are we saying our half days will be? What month? 2 half days. If you could at your table come up with a month, and we're going to say it out loud, and Mrs. Smith is going to record that. You have a minute. What month will your 2 half days be? All right, guys, I have had like 2 whole tables. Hold on. I've had like 2 whole tables say they don't want half days. So I'm thinking it's people who did not show up who voted for it because it's 70%. Did you say you didn't want them either? Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was just going by the survey results. So let's do it. I guess those are the 30 people there, or 20 people who are not here, or some of you did. But let's say, show of hands if you think we should have half days. Says the person who wants to use them to train teachers. Hold on. We have a comment.
And I'm not saying I'm one way or the other. I'm just saying we talked about comparing it to the year that we were 17th, and there were half days. This is half days. So I'm not saying one way or the other. I'm just saying if you want to compare them, like we said.
Huh? Yeah, and that was a question too. Can transportation, okay, so, all right. And I can tell when people's brains are turned off, they're getting turned off. All right. We will send the committee another survey about half days. It seems like it will not be voted on. We probably will not have to do it. Okay? So we will send the committee another survey about half days. All right? So now, what are some questions, changes, feedback about either calendar? Which one do you lean to the most, this table?
We said A, but with a couple of changes.
Okay. What do you lean to most?
I don't know.
Okay. All right, so we have mostly A, sorry. Okay? But we do have some changes for A. Can we share the changes? Who wants to be the first?
My thought, I mean, because it's.
No, but I'm not saying all of them.
I would send the changes out.
Thank you. Okay, sorry. I thought we had the 6. I thought it said 4 to 6, and I thought you were expecting that, so I apologize. So you can send that to us, but I would like you to consider if you could be very clear about the change. Okay? All right? Anything else? Yeah, I don't care either way. I think people are ready to go, though. I think people are ready to go. So you can. You can.
Might help get the draft out. Y'all had sent out a Google Docs where you put down your concerns. Maybe on that Google Docs instead, we put our recommended changes.
Okay, guys, did you hear that? Everybody, we'll change the Google Doc. And I'm so glad he said that because he's talking about. Change the Google Doc. You know, I had a board member here and it said 4 to 6. I was going to go my time. On the Google Doc that we sent out about concerns, we're going to change that to recommendations for draft A. and we'll do that. So the last thing we need to do is we will meet again in October, and we will bring you those things. And we will also look at the alignment with the specialty calendars. Okay? All right. Thank you all so much. I know it was a lot. Thank you. Bye-bye.